I keep thinking, okay, this is the authoritarian playbook. We've seen this play out so many times, and unfortunately, I think we're seeing it play out. And a number of academics and writers have pointed out, and Carl Schmitt, who was a German jurist, political philosopher, and writer in the 1930s, his thesis, which Nazi Germany basically took up, was don't worry about doing something that is ethical or principled or good or right.
Is this what he's saying?
Do whatever you can to win.
Is he
vanquish
serious?
your adversaries, vanquish your enemies. And unfortunately, we have seen that happening overseas. We've seen it in Viktor Orban in Hungary. We've seen it with Vladimir Putin. We see it in China, other places. We see it also in terms of, some of the foreign policies that are being implemented, including, in the Middle East right now.
On the PBD podcast today, explosive revelations hit as former CIA Chief John Brennan and ex-FBI boss James Comey face criminal investigations over the Trump-Russia probe. Meanwhile, Trump's shocking disregard for Epstein questions spreads shockwaves, and chaos erupts at Elon Musk's XAI launch with wild anti-Semitic episodes. Brace yourself. Let's break this down.
I can't listen to this. Keep going. What's this one here, Rob?
This one, Vinny said.
So this is Mark Elias. He is a liar, whatever you want to call him. He was a lawyer that worked at he was at Perkins Coie, who laundered Clinton's campaign money to fund the whole operation and wrapped it in a leak. They were behind the whole Steele dossier.
This guy to the left,
and he's telling the media, "Don't report this. Don't watch this." Well, I fast forward. Yeah, you can go. You can play. You can play it.
And others that we were going to get to this moment, and the question is, what do we do? And the question of what we do is multifaceted. The first question is, what do we do? Do we retreat and hide in the corner? So I'm on TV today, not hiding in the corner. I'm not retreating. I'm saying I'm going to stand up and fight, and Donald Trump won't intimidate me by going back to this 2016 stuff. And that's one thing. But the other thing we've talked about is, what do large institutions do? What do civil society groups do? What does the media do? And I am imploring, honestly, I'm just imploring the media, do not report this as a legitimate investigation. Do not report this as they're opening a investigation into John Brennan.
He knows what he's done. He knows what he's done.
Report this as the misuse, the abuse, the authoritarian takeover of the Department of Justice.
Unbelievable.
That should be the headline. The headline should be, in a misuse and abuse of the power of the executive branch, Donald Trump has asked his Department of Justice
He's one of the main guys behind the Steele dossier
into John Brennan.
The narrative flips the official investigation into Brennan into a weaponized political tool, exposing deep government factionalism and undermining trust and justice.
That's one of the main guys.
So what did Trump say, Rob?
Here's President Trump says yesterday. Here he is.
President Trump, James Comey and John Brennan now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people, so whatever happens, happens.
Interesting. Vinny, thoughts on this?
Okay, so, obviously they launched the investigation. Brennan, who, by the John yesterday, the CIA guy that you had on there, told us what type of person this guy really is.
He worked with him.
He worked with him
1990s.
and what was the main thing he said? He is a bad guy all around.
Day one, yeah.
From day one in that faces. So he lies to Congress, and then his own two top CIA guys told him not to touch the Steele dossier. Okay, they said that it was internet trash, and he still pushed it anyway. Comey knew it was fake, and he still weaponized the FBI to go after Trump. And then here's the thing. What's up with Hillary Clinton? She's not just part of it. She started this entire thing that ran this country to the ground for what, Tom? They're still talking about it.
Exactly.
For those 4 years, it was horrible. She's the head of the snake, okay? Her campaign paid for the Steele dossier, okay, and then lied about it. And guess what the fine was? When they finally say, okay, you're guilty and the DNC is guilty, guess how much she had to pay? $8,000.
A glaring double standard. Major political figures paid pennies for a scandal that nearly toppled a presidency, while public outrage and consequences remain minimal.
Guess what the DNC got fined? $105,000. That whole scandal, the whole Russia, collusion, Trump, all that nonsense, they basically got a really expensive parking ticket for global disinformation. And if we're going to talk about this, guys, we have to look at everybody. And I'm going to list the names that they should, if this is opening like this, they should go after Hillary, Jake Sullivan, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Susan Rice, Andrew McCabe, these are all FBI guys, Peter Strzok, Joseph Pientka, Lisa Page, who was Peter Strzok's girlfriend while he was married. I think she was married as well. Sally Yates.
We call that mistress in France.
Yeah, exactly. Lisa Monaco, Christopher Steele, Igor Danchenko, Bruce, and Nellie Orr, who were lawyers. Stephen Halper, Glenn Simpson, Peter Frisch, who was Fusion GPS, and Loretta Lynch, and James Clapper. These people were all a part of this conspiracy.
You left out Bolton.
Oh, did I even say them? Michael Sussman and Mark Elias and Mark Bowen. These guys, and that's why I don't want people to forget. We move on and we forget. Like, think about it. COVID, all this stuff, all the vaccine injury, all the shit that they did to us, it's kind of like old news. The stuff with Jeffrey Epstein, they're trying to push us away. Especially this one, this was one of the biggest scandals, Tom. This was worse than Watergate. If you think about it, the sitting president with everybody else around him, with Hillary Clinton, the number one rival, started a fake campaign to get FISA warrants to go after these people to make Trump look like he was a Russian asset. Unfreaking believable.
Unbelievable. And I don't care how big the fine was. There was a fine. And so
what does that mean?
So guess what? A court or a tribunal of jurisdiction found that you did something wrong and you got a fine. I don't care how big the fine was. There was a fine connected to it, and it proved the dossier was manufactured and wrong and was used to prevent an opponent from winning an election.
Yeah, Pat, is that technically treason? Like what you're doing? Like doing that with an actual presidential freaking campaign. You went in there. By the way, they were spying on Trump. They were spying on him. Like, it started with Obama with this freaking guy right there. And it's like, if this turns out, Pat.
Do you know what was interesting about the story yesterday with John Kiriakou, who was the only CIA officer ever to be arrested for 23 months because he came out as a whistleblower talking about the waterboarding that he was a part of. You know what's an interesting thing he said? The fact that all the CIA guys, the major players, he became the number 3 guy, John Brennan, and the top 2 guys went and aligned themselves with Hillary, saying Hillary's the one that's going to become the president. He was the only guy that didn't align himself with Hillary. He went with Obama. And he aligns himself with Obama, and Obama becomes president. When he becomes president, he was going to be the director of CIA at first. They're like, no, this guy's too crazy. We can't do that. There's too many people that don't like him. He gave him a different job, and then eventually came up. So behind all of this, the one person that's quietly hoping this doesn't get any traction is one guy, and that's Barack Obama.
Yep.
Forget about Brennan. Brennan's going to be like, yeah, whatever, go, But Obama, if this comes out, more things they find out, and Obama's name is attached to this, not just Hillary, that Obama was also helping orchestrate. We already know it, but I'm talking about even at a higher level where things are being revealed. It's not going to be a good look for those guys. Adam, your thoughts on this?
So let me just pan out a little bit here. By the way, I saw the interview you did with Kiriakou. He said Brennan was the guy that was sort of encouraging the waterboarding. He's like, yes, let's get him, let's kill him.
Brennan was the one that he had a meeting every week.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday to talk about the kill list. There was a kill list. Yeah. You type in Brennan kill list, Rob. There was a kill list on every Tuesday where he would approve who are we killing this week.
All right.
This is the New Yorker that wrote this article that Obama knew about this. John Brennan's kill list. Every Tuesday there was a meeting on who we're killing this week. But go ahead. Yes, this is John Brennan.
So that's Brennan. But what I want to do is actually focus on Trump for a second. What I got to give Trump a lot of credit for is Trump 2.0 is completely different than Trump 1.0. Even the response he did when he talked about
I know nothing
Brennan,
about this.
He's just like, look, it's so much more measured and disciplined and mature that people like me that were not fans of Trump 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Except when you ask him about Epstein. But for the most part, yes, keep going.
Why do we talk about that creepy guy?
We'll show that in a minute as well.
But Trump is a lot more measured. This is his, people think this is his second time around. Technically, it's his third time around. Why? He had 4 years to watch what Biden was doing. Yep. And if you ever see that that clip where Kamala is speaking and he's tweeting in real time, and he's like, say this, do this.
Yes.
We saw a little tiny glimpse of what he did. He probably did that for 4 years, watching what's going on. I would do this differently. Here's what I would do here. I kind of messed this one up. He watched game film. And Trump is not a rookie anymore. Trump 2.0 is a lot more measured, and he trusts his cabinet a lot more. He has sort of loyalists in the cabinet at this point, but he's not making what I would call self-inflicted mistakes like he did the first time. You might say that, Epstein was a self-inflicted mistake. We'll have that conversation. But Trump, in my opinion, is a lot more mature and grown up and handling the presidency way better than the
I
first
fully
time.
agree. I fully agree on the way it's being handled. However, going back to this, Vinny, go ahead.
But do you guys think the timing, and again, just off of coincidences, everything that's happening with Epstein, the day before, Trump was like, stop talking about Epstein. Let it go, which I'm not going to ever let it go. Isn't it weird that all this stuff starts happening? Like, they announced this Brennan thing to make everybody go, hey, look over here. Because if you think about it.
I'm not buying that bullshit.
Adam, but hold on.
Okay,
if
go
this
ahead.
turns into, then let's.
That's like saying, I already see where you're going. Let me just cut you off for 1 second. That's like saying that anytime there's a news cycle, when a news story shows up, you could always say, well, they're using it to escape the rumors from this one. Every single time you're going to do that.
Well, I don't.
But meaning, like, anytime there's a story, I guarantee you, the next day there'll be another story.
Something
the world.
But something of this magnitude, which is trying to.
I don't even think this Brennan thing is that big of a story.
Which is
if
sad,
you're saying that this is the cover up.
No, Adam, because you know why it is. The Trump won, and then they all conspired to get him out. And dude, that's freaking treason. What are we talking about? You want to talk about election interference? He won. And then they all got together and said, you know what? Spy on his ass. Fine. Bring me fake ass information to get a sitting president out. It is a huge deal, but this better not.
That is a huge deal. I do agree, but that's not the reason that they brought this story up to escape the Epstein rumor list.
I hope you prove me wrong, because I hope this doesn't just become we're investigating.
Well, why don't we do this? Yeah, let's just do this, Rob. Play the clip of the president when he's being asked about Epstein. Let's go to that clip. So here's the president. After everything's already been released, after the greatest fumble of all time, he's being asked about Epstein, and this is his response and Pam Bondi's response. And look, a lot of people have a problem with this response. Go ahead.
Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure. If
could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute.
Who believes that answer?
First of all, look at Mark Rubio. He looks like a freaking hostage. Jake just messaged me. He looks so stuck in the middle. Do you believe that?
Do you have any questions about Libya?
He's saying, are we still talking about it as if you don't think Donald Trump, the sitting president, is not listening to the news and seeing how much they fumbled this entire thing? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Pat. I did a little bit of research when they were trying to say that there's no client list, there's no evidence, do you remember Jeff Staley? Do you remember that guy? Rob, you remember this guy, right? Mm-hmm. He was, so Pat, if you don't mind, while Epstein was already a convicted pedophile, okay, and he was on work release in Palm Beach, a federal lawsuit with U.S. Virginia Islands against J.P. Morgan. Remember the lawsuit? They got, by the way, they settled J.P. Morgan $75 million in 2003, and then $290 million they settled with the Epstein victims that same year for $290 million. So the lawsuit claims that a private banker, Jess Staley, kept in contact and visited Epstein's Palm Beach mansion and the Virgin Islands multiple times, even when Epstein was in jail. All right. And the lawsuit states that between 2008 and 2012, Staley exchanged 1,200 emails with Epstein from his JP Morgan account like an idiot. And the lawsuit, they said that these communications showed a close personal relationship and a profound friendship between the two guys. And Epstein, this is where the client list comes in. He sent them photos of young women. And in 2010, Staley replied with creepy Disney codes. Rob, can you go to that? He literally says, maybe they're tracking you. Say hi to Snow White. And Epstein follows with, what character would you like next? Okay. And then Staley says, Beauty and the Beast. And Epstein responds, well, one side is available. Okay. That's not banter. That's sex trafficking lingo in plain sight. Okay. And the worst part, the date stamps on those emails line up with the money that Epstein sent from his JP Morgan account to the same girl. Okay. So that's your paper trail. I'm sick of them coming out there and even to get to the president to say, why are you guys still talking about it? Why are you talking about it? You know why? Because the proof is there and there's victims. That's what drives me crazy, Pat. You see the body language. What about all the girls? What about all the young boys? And not just the Virginia Goofreets who, God rest their souls, died. What about the ones, Pat, that we'll never hear from? We have, in 4 years, 350,000 kids missing. I totally believe that the majority of these people that they hooked up with, they kill them. What are they going to do? Rape and molest all these kids and just let them walk? No, they have to get rid of them. They have to. That proves the Jess Staley thing that there was a freaking client list. So don't tell me you can't build a case. Don't lie to us. Alex Acosta said, Pat, the guy worked for intelligence. He worked for intelligence. If it was CIA and with Mossad, okay? So let's play devil's advocate. If Epstein worked for Mossad and the whole thing was a blackmail from the start, who's holding all the cards? If Mossad set up a ring to record underage kids getting sex trafficked, to have sex with powerful people, who's holding the cards, Tom? Mossad and the CIA. So that means these people were okay with kids getting trafficked and sexed and raped for power moves. I am not comfortable with that. When people go, well, that's how the world works and that's a battle. Bullshit. Because nobody gives a shit about the
One point that concerns me, there's no client list. But we've seen pictures with redaction and fuzziness of flight logs. Lots and lots of flight logs over a span of years. So, okay, there wasn't a client list, but there sure as hell was a guest list because we know who was coming and going on the flight logs.
Yep.
And so, okay, so he didn't have clients, but he sure had a lot of guests or visitors, pick a word you like, that were there. Why were they there? And then we have J.P. Morgan. And forget about this guy, J.P. Morgan. Not forget about him.
Staley.
You can't forget about him.
Put him to the side.
But let's just set it for a second. How hard did J.P. Morgan work to get its name out of the headlines and get away from this?
Settled, quick.
Let's settle this. Let's get our bank's name out of this and let's get on with life, which is what I would do if I was head of the bank and saying, what the hell are we doing here? Well, sir, there could have been laundering. There could have been this, could have been that. Okay, guys, we need to get out from under this. We get out under it quick. So even assuming that people at the top of J.P. Morgan, let's assume they were like, oh my gosh, apparently there's some dirtiness here. There's some, unseemly things. We want to get away from this. J.P. Morgan sure ran fast. So I want to know about flight logs equals guest list equals visitors. Okay, so there's no client list, but there is that. Why were all those people on the island? And there's plenty of other evidence to it.
By the way, here's Dan Bongino on Tim Pool. I don't know if you guys have seen this clip or not.
Was this before he got in?
This was before he got in. And this is him talking about what happens one time when he's in the waiting room at Fox News. Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip. I'll let him tell the story. Go ahead.
About a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it. But the short story, but not who they are. It says, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know. But this person, who is a very, very good reporter, I mean, aces, right? Swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff. So the point is, to sum it up, how do you know some of these countries aren't going to some of these power players who aren't making decisions? Because, hey, you wouldn't want this video out there, right? How do you know?
100%.
I mean,
let's get
thoughts.
So I have a question for Vinny. Why do you think people are so obsessed with this story? And I'm not underplaying the story at all. I mean, I love what PBD had to say on Jesse the other day about how the Trump administration has sort of fumbled the ball on this one, because we're hearing all different things. Bongino says one thing and he gets into office, he says another thing. Kash Patel shouting at the rooftops, paying Bondi. But, you know, do I think he was an intelligence asset? Yeah, probably. Do I think he was doing something with the CIA, FBI, Mossad? They're even talking about KGB. This guy was everywhere. Mm-hmm. So why are people so obsessed with this story? Like, what are you hoping to find exactly?
Okay, what I think, and I'll speak
No,
for
this is a
everybody.
genuine question, because a lot of people are very preoccupied with this.
I think people like me, and I think a lot of people, especially the people that have been backing Trump, who we were promised results, we are not comfortable with anybody having a sex trafficking ring that has control over all of these politicians, over all these celebrities, out of all these singers. Adam, it doesn't sit well if decisions are being made from our government or from another government. Okay, if he did work with Mossad, imagine this, Adam. Imagine you're a congressman, you're a president, you're whoever, you're an actor, and you were there. And then this country, let's say Israel, says, hey, listen, we want you to say X, Y, and Z. And you go, I ain't saying shit. I'm not backing this. I'm not doing that. And they go, oh, really? Check your email. And you open the email, and it's an encrypted video of you hooking up with an underage kid. Then guess what happens? They own you. So imagine policies, rules, laws being made by that. That's number one, Adam. Number two, we were promised, if you weren't going to do it, shut the hell up. All of you, from the top to the bottom. Stop bullshitting us, okay? We're not stupid. The average American, you know, they're trying to make MAGA people, we're stupid hick from down south. We're not stupid. We all know the truth, okay? He fucking worked, sorry for my language. He worked for intelligence. They said he worked for intelligence. We all know who he worked for. Let's stop playing the games. And then they lied. If you weren't going to do it, don't say it. And Pine Bondi, don't sit in a restaurant, talk that shit, and then go on the lawn, White House lawn, and say you have it, and then lie to us as if we're stupid. As if we're stupid, Adam. And the third one is the kids, which should be number one. These kids are either dead or they're ruined for the rest of their lives, Adam. That's what it comes down to. And
the emotional core of the Epstein scandal, the human devastation remains ignored, while elites dodge justice and the story threatens to quietly fade away.
And I'm not upset. Yeah, I am obsessed with it, but I'm not going to let it go. And I implore everybody, guys, this is going to be a story just like JFK, just like everything, just like the Russia collusion, just like freaking COVID. We're going to forget about it. And it's just not right, Adam. We're being leveraged by other countries. Could it be Mossad? Could it be the MI6? Could it be KGB? No, bro. We have to have accountability to know. Because, Adam, if we don't stop it now, it's going to keep happening. Plain and simple. That's it. That's why I'm obsessed with it.
I totally appreciate your perspective and why you get completely emotional, especially on the child sex trafficking thing. I think, you know, as I've said before, there's things that matter and there's things that you can control. And where I tend to focus is where those two things intersect. And I know we have a big platform, so we have the ability to have these types of conversations. In my opinion, there's a lot of people that are obsessed with this.
Yes.
That they have zero control over this. Mm-hmm. And these are the types of people, in my opinion, that a lot of these people are what I would call losers, or as what Andrew Tate described as brokies. And they're fat, they're broke, they're losers, they can't get this, they can't get that. They're struggling with work, they're struggling with relationships. They have nothing going on in their life, but this shiny little object they are obsessed with. And I'm not deflecting, I'm not saying it's unimportant. I'm just saying, like, I don't wake up every day and be like, I got to get them Epstein logs, bro, or I can't live my life the way I want to live it. It's like, no, I want to get stuff done. I want to look my best. I want to feel my best. I want to make my money. I want to be with my family. I want to be with my friends. I want to hang out with my nephew. I have so many things on my agenda that I'm not like, I got to get the flight logs, bro. I got to know. And I'm not saying that's how you operate, but I think there's a lot of losers and brokies that are obsessed with stuff like this. These are the same people that instead of going home and working out and building a business and doing things with their life, they're Netflix and chilling. Or they're just doom scrolling all day. And there's so many people that I think obsessed with things that they have no control
Adam,
over.
I get it, but I get where you're coming from. But Adam, that guy that's drinking Mountain Dew in his trailer and sitting there who's an American patriot that pays his taxes and has kids and a family, Adam, he wants to know if the government that he's living under is controlled by foreign countries because they have tapes of them raping fucking underage kids. Adam, it's not a shiny little thing. No, Adam,
I don't think
it's not a shiny little thing in the air.
Everything you were right.
Stupid.
Everything you were right. Everything you said is accurate, other than the word controlled.
They are controlled.
The intelligence community.
Adam,
I don't know anything about this.
Adam,
they communicate.
You didn't hear the CIA guy from yesterday, Adam. Think about this, Adam. If you are comfortable with Mossad, which is Israel, or Russia, or anybody, their blackmail ring, their operation. Think about this, Adam. Would you be comfortable as a country going, you know what? Epstein's our guy. We own him. Lex Wester, all this money, he's a billionaire. Let's wire everything, bring everybody there to have sex with underage kids because it's the island and whatever. And we're going to use that to get what we want. CIA, Mossad, anybody. How disgusting and evil. If you really think about that, step back from who it is. I don't give a shit who it is, Adam. If that is your operation, holy shit, you are one of the most evil, disgusting unit operation, period. And for those little people, Adam, the ones that you think are stupid that are sitting there, they don't just want the flight logs. They want everybody that's involved to fucking go down, period. Accountability. It's simple. One word, Adam. Just like the Brennan and Comey thing. Nothing's going to happen to them. Nothing. Because Republicans go, we're investigating. Nothing is going to happen. Vinny, that's the sad thing. Same thing with Fauci.
Vinny, are you okay, bro?
No, I am. It's bullshit, okay. Adam. It's bullshit.
I'm with you. And I want to understand the frustration and the anger.
It is. How many more times do we have to say it, Adam? Is anybody getting in trouble? Do you believe Epstein was running a blackmail ring? Do you think that there's no client list?
Let me ask this question. Between Brennan and Comey, between Fauci, what they did with COVID and, all the ties to Wuhan lab, between Epstein, between Kennedy, John F. Kennedy assassination, MLK assassination, 9/11, what happened to 9/11? Which of those is most important to you?
Wow, great freaking question. I think it's this one.
Okay.
I think it's this, Pat. I think it's Epstein. Yeah. Great question. I think assassinating a president, killing a shooting.
What's your number one? Number one is Epstein?
Me personally, it's Epstein, JFK, and COVID's. I mean, that's a fantastic question, Pat, because they're all right there.
Which was most important to you, Tom?
It's COVID and Fauci because it was full population control. Everything else is just lies.
Got it. So that's number one for you. How about yours?
I mean, if you put that list together between 9/11, COVID, Epstein, MLK, JFK, all these things, to me, it's not even close, bro. It's COVID. And it's not even close. How many trillions of dollars was printed? How many lives were lost? How many people had to be locked down?
Yeah.
To me, this is sort of the whole signal versus noise.
Preach it.
I understand why people are obsessed with Epstein. I get it. But to me, it's just a whole lot of noise and there's not a lot of signal. It's like, all right, can we stay focused on the fact that the Wuhan lab that was in Wuhan when there was a lab leak and basically took over the world?
Saying. Let me tell you,
that is way more important than Epstein.
I posted something on Twitter yesterday, and here's what it was: a quote. If you can go to it, Rob. To offend a strong man, tell him a lie. To offend a weak man, tell him the truth. Marcus Aurelius. Let me read it again. Is that Elon Musk on the bottom?
Elon right there with a bullseye.
I'll give you a bullseye.
Go a little bit higher.
Thanks for the shout out, Elon,
go back to the PBD. So to offend a strong man, tell him a lie. To offend a weak man, tell him the truth. Marcus Aurelius. To me, this is at the top. I don't even care what the issue is. don't go out there tell me you're going to be doing this and you don't. Yep. And I'm telling you, a part of this, we've, as an operator, as somebody that has ran a business for quite some time, oh my God, we've had some fumbles. We've had some fumbles that are super embarrassing. Let me tell you, super embarrassing. As the operator at the top, it was your fault. Okay.
Today's segment exposes a relentless cover-up from the highest offices where justice clashes with political agendas. Brennan and Comey face unprecedented scrutiny while Epstein's dark legacy still haunts the nation, yet official attention wanes. The voices demanding accountability grow louder, but risk being drowned out by distractions and denial. Stay vigilant and informed because silence equals complicity. Drop your take below and demand the truth. Stay alive.